Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 138 of the Seezus Show. We are back with bi-weekly content for you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed last episode as much as we enjoyed that conversation as well, too. So just to rehash, episode 137, it featured myself, Terrence Whaley, and Carl Conyers, and we all discussed and broke down Pascal, OG, and the RJ Barrett trades to their respective new teams, Ja's injury, Kawhi's extension, and the new Clipper wall with the arena coming in later this year. NBA Allstar votes, Warriors struggles, Bron and the Lakers, and favorites in both the Eastern and Western Conference as well, too. So today, it's a little bit different. We do not have our other co-host, Terrence Whaley. He got affected by non-COVID-like illness, but he was still able to bless us with the spot yet again, so I appreciate you. Warren actually made a joke and said, you know, if he was a sicko, he would be giving us the Terrence flu game. But, you know, next time we're going to be up here as well, too. So hopefully by then, you know, the Lakers have made a trade and whatnot as well, too. But before we get into today's hottest topics, ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for my co-host, Carl Conyers.
What's good? What's good?
How you living, dog?
Damn. All right. I guess it's not good enough. Just happy to make it here in all this rain, bro. People in LA start to rain and they forget how to drive, and they didn't already know how to drive, so it's tough.
It's tough, man. You been good though?
Yeah. Otherwise, man.
Yeah, man.
You?
Yeah, I've been good. I was more so worried about you. You know, the Detroit Lions folded on you.
Hey, bro, we don't need to do that. We can keep this about basketball and just keep moving forward.
Keep it about basketball. Hey, great year. You know, you guys went from one of the worst teams and had the quickest turnaround, in my opinion, since Jared Goff got there. So it can literally only go up from here, man. You know.
I don't know. The NFL doesn't really work like that.
I mean, it don't work like that. But the NFC, like we said earlier, is pretty mid.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I think you guys at least gonna, I think, be a playoff team for the next couple of years. I hope.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see about all that. You know, we need to talk about that right now.
life of being a Detroit Lions fan. I feel that. I feel as well too. So, who you actually got for the Super Bowl? I want to ask you that. Who you voting for? I
want the Niners to win, and I'm gonna be honest, it's completely just because I don't want the Chiefs to win.
Okay.
I'm not even like It's crazy because I don't even care about the whole like Mahomes passing Brady or anything like that.
Yeah.
I just kind of like seeing different people win. It's like, you know, you gonna make it there again too. Like, yeah, I think it would mean a lot more for Brock Purdy's career, and a lot of the guys on the Niners than it would for the Chiefs. So.
Okay. No, I'm not mad at that as well too. I don't care who wins, honestly. Once the Bills got knocked out, I was like, all right.
That was a wrap for you.
Yeah, that was a wrap for me. And then you already know, we talked about this too, like Lamar had the whole hood like rooting for him. So once he and the whole entire Ravens team just wet the bed, I was just like, all right.
That's what was tough is because the the goal line fumble and then the pick that he threw. It was like you didn't need to throw it, but also that was blatant pass interference as well. So
they had a couple flags that didn't get called their way, and even before he fumbled the ball, Zay Flowers got that taunting penalty as well too.
He was doing a lot though. I can't even. That one was
some rookie shit.
That's the thing of like he has to be better. Like you can't. The point of the game is to make big plays. You can't act like you've been there. That's really the thing. You know.
Yeah,
he was tripping on that one.
And for a team that I think they led the NFL in rushing.
Yeah,
kind of went away. That was the biggest thing. Right when the Chiefs scored the ball, they just went away from their game plan, which I didn't understand. Especially and I know Odell isn't the same, but you can kind of tell like once he kind of got actual snaps in the fourth quarter, they started to really move that football.
Yeah, and then also you look at the Bills ran up for almost 200 yards against them, and they're like a middle of the pack running offense versus the best running offense, and y'all just decided to stop running the ball. And not to say that Lamar can't throw, but that just hasn't been the strength of your team. Is just to have him throw it a bunch of times and win games.
Like, got to play to your strengths, man. Got to play your strengths. But if I had to choose who's gonna win, just looking how we talked about how the NFC isn't as strong as the AFC and how even fully healthy the 49ers looks like they have a little bit more weaknesses. I'm at this point right now in my life where it's like I'm accepting that this dude Patrick Mahomes is just nice, and it's really hard to bet against him. So if I had a bet on a team to win, which I will be betting I'm gonna have a couple parlays this weekend. I probably got Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs winning like 31 to like 24. That's who I got.
Gotcha.
So
sorry, I don't know what we're doing.
Milo, who you got? You don't even care.
I'm gonna just sit on Carl. That's
right,
what I got.
All right. Well, we can go ahead and get started on today's hottest topics. Obviously, the hottest topic right now is the Philadelphia 76ers, but more so Joel Embiid. The reigning MVP was diagnosed with a displaced flap of the meniscus.
When they call that shit a flap.
Flap, yeah. Was diagnosed with a displaced flap of the meniscus in his left knee and is considering surgery. So a displaced flap is considered to be a type of tear of the meniscus, according to an orthopedic knee specialist. So Embiid, his doctors, and the 76ers are continuing to discuss whether the best source of action is to rest and rehab the injury or to undergo a procedure that would require him to miss an extended period of time as well, too. Jonathan Kuminga obviously fell on his left knee, and even before that, they came out with reports, and he even came out and they said he had some general knee soreness as well, too. So that kind of sucks because in 34 games this season, Embiid was leading the league in scoring at 35.3 points per game, averaged 11.3 rebounds and 5.7 assists and 1.8 blocks, and had Philly in a position to be a top 4 seed. So obviously this is going to be a major, major blow to not only the city but the organization and Joel Embiid as well, given the injury history he always has. But Carl, what are your thoughts on Joel Embiid's injury, man?
I mean, I think this season is just kind of a perfect example of like the idea that Joel Embiid could be, it's like this is the perfect example. Like, okay, he can go out, completely dominate a game. And for me, there are other parts to it, but one of the main reasons on why I can't say he's better than Jokic is because your availability does matter. And Embiid is just always injured. And to be fair, he started off his career injured. And like, I've heard something about this as well. It's like 9 times out of 10, if you start off your career injured, it's gonna, especially as you get older, you get closer to 30, which is where he's at now. Your body doesn't get better, know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he missed his first 2 years before he even came in, and then that first year he still, I think, ended up tearing his meniscus or something like that. Mm-hmm. And as we know, every year in the playoffs he seems to get hurt, and yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think it just is par for the course for him, honestly. Mm-hmm. If I were them, I would probably just have him sit out the whole rest of the year, because at least you can come back next year and try and do things differently and hope that he's more healthy. But I think we've seen every time he tries to come back from something in the playoffs, it's just clear he's not the same. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean, it's a tough situation. Like, he's your best player. It's hard to kind of trade that and get equal value, but also he's just not someone you can always count on to be there.
Yeah. So you say if you're the organization, you basically let him get his surgery, and then you let him sit out the rest of the year. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess that's also a good thing too, because they do have some assets. Tobias is in his last year as well too.
I'm pretty sure.
So now you can kind of figure out, all right, what pieces do we actually need to go along with Maxey and Joel Embiid as well too. So I'm not mad at that as well. Knowing Joel Embiid, he's probably going to want to come back, but it just depends on where they are with seeding, and that's something else I was going to ask you as well too. Because right now they're 5th in the Eastern Conference, they're 30-18, and they're only 2.5 games behind the number 2 seed. So how do you see them panning out? Moving forward. Like I said, we don't know the exact time frame. I'm pretty sure with how they love headlines and narratives, they probably already know what it is. But tomorrow, like for example, with major networks or outlets like First Take, we're gonna know exactly if he's gonna get surgery, he's gonna sit out X, Y, and Z. But how do you see the Philadelphia 76ers with their current roster faring with the rest of the NBA with their schedule?
Not that well, to be real. But I think that they can, being at where they're at now, I don't think that they will just bottom out and fall out of the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But I don't think they're going to, I'll say this, I don't think they're going to gain any ground with him being out. Mm-hmm. I think it'll be kind of more of a just we can be like a 500 type of ball club.
Yeah.
And take advantage of where we already are. But I don't. Maxi's cool. I mean, I guess Tobias Harris is cool too. But like, that's really their team. I feel like you need. Usually, there's a reason that someone has to get you 35 a night.
Yeah.
If you know, like look at back like when Harden did it, look when Kobe did it. It's because they had to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, because they had to do it. So like that is just very tough to replace, and it also kind of says a lot about like the rest of your team is built perfectly for when you have its full complements. But you take away the biggest part of it, and it's. I mean, honestly, look at like the Grizzlies. Like when Ja came back, they were a good team.
Yeah.
Now without him, they're back to being a lottery team.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, I'm looking at their schedule right now just to name a couple games coming up. Clippers, Kings, Clippers, Lakers, Suns, Heat, Bucks, Knicks, Pelicans, Grizzlies, L's.
Grizzlies, those are some dubs, but other than that, yeah.
And they lack size too.
Yeah, Paul Reed is their only other center, and he's 6'9" or something like that.
Yeah. So, and who's available? You know, I always say this shit to you and Terrence. What about Boogie? Nah. Nope.
Not if you. Boogie, I do think he could still be in the league, but I think it's more of a like the roles that he was playing those last couple of years, which is like 14, 15 minutes off the bench. You know. Yeah. I don't think that's going to make a huge difference right now.
They're about to get punished right now in the paint.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think this is a blessing in disguise for Tyrese Maxey now being the number one option?
No, because he was already getting. It was just those two, so it was like Kobe and Shaq. You know, like Kobe was still shining when Shaq was there.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. When he's gone, you're gonna have a little bit more opportunity, but like the ball was still in his hands. Like if it wasn't in Embiid's hands, it was in his hands.
Yeah.
Tobias Harris wasn't really playing with the ball, like so. Yeah, no, I think, I mean, overall for, I guess if they have, some young players on the team, I can't even think of, honestly, outside of Maxey, any rookies or really young players they're playing.
It seems like all vets to me.
Yeah, so I think the most is if they have their pick, something kind of like draft related. Mm-hmm. But it's a tough situation because they're a team that's kind of built to like win and contend now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough one, man. To kind of just piggyback off of that, I think, like I said, we got to see the reports. Now, if it's a scenario where he can come back towards the end of the season, at best, probably like a 10 seed, bro. I think they're going to start to lose a little. But they got enough W's, though, that they can, like you said, play 500 level basketball. But I think when it's all said and done, I think they're going to be a playing team.
If they're a playing team, they need to sit him because I don't see him being able to make it through one or two playing games plus the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah. And you play every other day, too. That's a tough one. So it just sucks. And, I mean, I kind of want to go into my next segment because of that as well, too. Obviously, with the NBA, they came out with new guidelines on to win MVP or be considered for an all-NBA-based team when you have to play a minimum of 65 games. Obviously, with him, he's been playing like the mother MVP, and it's a foregone conclusion. He's not going to be the MVP or not going to make all-NBA teams right now as well, too. And obviously, with his injury, it's something where it's like it's kind of out. I know he's injury-prone, but like that definitely could have been prevented too by Jonathan Kuminga when he injured him as well. So I guess my question to you is: do you think that the criteria should change for all NBA with 65 games? Are they being too lenient, too harsh? Or if they do keep it, is it something where you kind of put stipulations into it with the type of injury and how you kind of suffer that injury?
I think this is when you start to, if you were to start to get stipulations like that end up would just be a rabbit hole. But I think it should be a differentiation between like the major awards and all NBA.
Okay.
I think he should still be able to make an all NBA team. I do agree with him not being able to win like the MVP, DPOY, like the big major awards.
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna look, because those awards are just one person wins them, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's gonna look weird when we get to the end of the year because I don't think he's gonna make this game threshold. and say he plays 64 games and he's averaging 35 and 10 and he's not on any All-NBA team,
crazy.
That's gonna look stupid. And that's I feel like that's already gonna be what it is. So I do think there needs to be a little bit of adjusting, but at the same time, it's one of those things. It's the first year they're doing it, So it's like you have to have a transition period, try and figure things out, see how it happens. But I do hope that they make some type of adjustment for the All-NBA teams.
Yeah. Nah, they definitely need to make an adjustment. And I'm thinking, too, it's like, damn, it's crazy. Like, it's 65 games. Like, you're training your body. You're a professional athlete. You're training your body to withstand this grind for X amount of months, and you can't get that many games. That, and I'm also thinking, too, is like, some people like you said, going to get 63, 64 games in or whatever. And their stats are going to look crazy. They're probably going to have a relatively good spot as far as like team success. But now you're going to have other players who are basically going to take their spots and be getting overpaid, which is going to be a problem too. And I know these owners are not going to want to overpay these people who shouldn't deserve to be on these All-NBA teams too.
I think, I definitely agree overall with that, but I think that with the level of talent right now in the NBA, there's usually so many snubs that I think it'll still be high quality. I think the people making the All-NBA teams will still be high quality players. I don't think it's going to be, the average person or something like that. Derek White, who for some reason they want him to be an All-Star. I don't even think he should be All-NBA. All defensive, cool, but
that's Terrence's favorite player, Derek White.
Really?
Yeah. So.
He's a good player. I think sometimes the problem happens when people put narratives around players and then it's like they're supposed to be more than what they are. But for who he is, which is their glue guy, he's more than a glue guy, but he is their glue guy and also someone who can give you 16 points a night, play great defense, do everything on the court basically outside of guard like a center because he's 6'4" or something like that. But yeah, no, I think overall with this thing, I think the narrative would also be so different. That's one of the reasons why I don't agree with changing it completely is because we just happen to be in a time right now where one of the best players in the league is injury prone. But take out Embiid, who else are we really worried about with this
season?
Yeah,
nobody.
So I also think we can't just change it for one guy. That's just part
how
of
they changed the overtime rule for Josh Allen.
Exactly. Yeah. I think it's just part of the game, and we've been in we've dealt with so much of the load managing and other things like that.
Yeah.
That it's just trying to get overall everyone to take this stuff more seriously and play when you can, and also factor in, okay, if I can really play tonight, I should do that because I might really get injured later on in the season and actually have to miss these games, Yeah. So I think it adds something that is, at least for right now in the league, kind of necessary. Hopefully we'll get to a point where players just kind of always want to play when they can. I'm not advocating for playing when you're injured and, they all know their bodies, but just the random rest nights and stuff like that. Especially when, in the end of the day, the research doesn't support that all these rest nights are necessarily providing less injuries. So
I feel do you feel like this year in the NBA in general, obviously, Embiid's been injured and then, Kyrie's been out for quite some time, both injury prone based players, obviously. Then you got players like PG and Kawhi who've been relatively pretty healthy when they've, been known to miss games. Do you feel like this year in the NBA, as far as a whole, so including the superstars, the stars, the role players, I feel like it's been a relatively pretty healthy season, right? Would you say?
Yeah, I think a lot of the players getting injured have been more role players. There's not a lot of you're saying Kawhi and Joel are probably the only two stars right now that were up for those awards that are ineligible. I can't think of maybe.
You saying eligible?
Ineligible. Kyrie already is.
Kyrie
already is, and Joel's
done.
about to.
Yeah, Joel. Yeah.
Maybe I can't remember how many games Devin Booker missed at the beginning of the season. I think he might be close, but other than that,
80 might. 80 came back yesterday.
80 hasn't missed that much this year though.
Terrence, how many games your boy AD missed?
This year?
Yeah.
Can't be more than like 5 or 7.
Yeah, he been playing a lot.
I was gonna bet him, but I was like, nah.
No, I mean that's a whole nother thing. But like, AD is having a great year, and them niggas are still mid.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
It's crazy. Another injury that I also wanted to talk to you about was your boy Zach LaVine. I mean,
not my boy. Absolutely not.
He about to be out for 4 to 6 months after he undergoes surgery on his right foot next week. The team, so his team, LaVine and his agency Clutch Sports, elected to have the procedure after seeking additional medical opinions. And essentially, they said he made a decision he felt was best for his health. And they really feel like he did everything he could to try to get himself back to playing. There was just too much discomfort in his foot, and he felt like he wasn't in the right state of mind to be himself and contribute to the success of the Chicago Bulls. Well, with little success that they had as well, too.
I was going to say.
LaVine's disjointed 2023-24 season ends after just 25 games, and out of those 25 games, he started 23 games. He averaged 19.5 points, shot 45.2% from the field, which marks his lowest scoring total since he played 24 games coming off that ACL injury that you told us about in the 2017-2018 season as well, too. What are your thoughts, man? I know we kind of talked about it, but I guess we're going to do another rabbit hole with this one. your thoughts on LaVine being out for the remainder of the season, and yeah.
I mean, I'm not surprised. That's the last thing I am.
I think I'm surprised. I'm not surprised that he's not gonna get banged up from here and there throughout a regular season, but I am surprised he's out for the remainder of the season.
I would say like he's always, like I said before, he was always injury prone.
Yeah.
But this year in particular, I'm not surprised because he had been missing large chunks of time large chunks of games at a time. And a lot of the injuries were similar injuries that were keeping him out for smaller amounts of times before. So it's just the same stuff getting worse.
Yeah.
And he also just looked bad. Like 19 a game when his past couple of years have been 24, 26, 27.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think this is good for the Bulls, honestly, because with him being out, Kobe White has finally been able to be let loose, and he's averaging 18 a game.
UNC.
Which is crazy because they drafted him and never really, I think it was like maybe his first or second year they kind of gave him a chance, and like since then they just.
Because he started or got time and then Lonzo came, right?
I think so.
Okay.
So this is the first year he's actually had like offensive opportunities for real, and he's balling out. Even Ayo Dosunmu has been playing good since LaVine has been out. So it's been good for their young players because Kobe White's still only 23.
Yeah. And someone was telling me about their stats. Like they have a better record without LaVine.
Yeah.
As opposed to with him this season.
Because again, he's never been a great defender, but you're even more diminished this year when you're dealing with all these injuries, and your offensive impact is what has offset the other things, and now your offensive impact is not the same, and now you're kind of just a black hole. So I think for the Bulls it's good. I don't know if we can pull up like what's his contract situation.
I literally have it up right here. So he signed a 5-year $215 million contract. He becomes an unrestricted free agent in 2027, but this year he's about to sit and get paid $40 million.
And so he's on contract for next year too.
Then it's 45. Then it's 48.9.
Yeah, so I think in that regard, like the Bulls are okay because now you have time to get your other guys minutes. He's still on contract, so you still have him as a trade chip. His value was already down this year anyway, so I don't think it's going to go down a whole lot more. And you just hope that over this offseason or early next season, you can get some type of assets for him.
Yeah, you already know they're going to trade him too.
Yeah, it's just really sad because when they brought this core together of DeRozan, Vucevic, Lonzo, and LaVine was already there, they were good.
Yeah.
They were good. Like
I thought it was 50 games or some shit like that.
Yeah,
right?
like I thought it was a weird pairing at first, but like they were good. And then Lonzo got hurt, and that just messed up their whole everything.
Yeah.
And since then they've been just clawing around being like an AC team. And then now LaVine is done and out, and Vucevic and DeRozan are old as hell. So I have no clue. You know, and I like I'm saying, I like Kobe White, I like Io, but I don't think they're your cornerstones. So
Fuck no.
I don't know where they're
She's
really
not
going overall. Sucks.
Yeah.
But hopefully they'll just be able to. Honestly, they should just do a Utah. Trade all these assets they have, get a bunch of young talent, get a bunch of picks.
Yeah.
Somebody will turn into their next Lloyd Markin or at least close to it.
Yeah. And then just rock from there.
Yeah.
I ain't mad at it. So, last time we recorded the pod, Terry Rozier was still a part of the Charlotte Hornets, and now he's a part of the Miami Heat. Obviously, he's only played about 6 games with them. He's actually playing right now against Clips, who are up. Yes, sir. But obviously, you know, while he was with, the Charlotte Hornets, he was averaging 23, 7, and 4. Now it's a little bit different. You got to kind of buy in. You got Jimmy and Bam and Tyler Hero as the 1, 2, and 3. So he's adjusting, averaging 10.8, 5.5, 4 rebounds. What were your thoughts on this trade acquisition in its entirety, and what do you think it's going to look like for the Miami Heat?
I mean, in theory, it should be
An upgrade from
good.
Kyle Lowry.
Yeah, like you're replacing Kyle Lowry with him.
Yeah.
So like, but it's also when Rozier was on his best teams, he wasn't a high level scorer. Like he's been a high level scorer the entire time in Charlotte, and they've been awful the entire time in Charlotte.
Yeah.
And then the years in Boston when they were really good were the years that he was coming off the bench and he was mad.
He was mad, especially when Kyrie and Gordon Hayward came back.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So he's just all that. I only say that to say, and I don't mean that he can't be, but to me, he just hasn't really shown for extended periods of time that he's a high level scorer on a playoff contending team or a team that has finals aspirations, as like it seems like the Heat do every year, no matter what their seed is.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned the counting stats, but it's like he's shooting 30% right now.
From 3, right?
No, from the field.
From the
He's
field?
shooting
I thought that
30%.
was from 3. I closed
He's shooting
it out.
25% from 3.
Yeah.
So, granted, like you said, it's been 6 games, so you hope that he can bring that up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a lot different. The pressure that comes with like actually winning and
right. You're so accustomed to losing past 3-4 years.
Yeah. So I think I would say this. I think it's going to be a longer acclimation period.
You think it's going to be obviously like they're nowhere near the Clippers right now, but do you think because with the Clippers, it took them like almost 10 games to figure it out?
Yeah.
You think it's going to be something like that where by like game mark 10 within 15, then they finally take off?
I think he just needs to have the ball in his hands less.
Yeah.
I don't think he needs to
because he seems so ball dominant.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you're good with Tyler Hero, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo being more of your ball handlers.
Yeah.
And him kind of being a combo guard instead of like trying to be the, point for real.
Yeah.
I say that to say like in totality, like we're saying, replacing Kyle Lowry with him is a win. I just think that potentially getting Dame would have been a lot better for your team.
Mm-hmm.
But in the playoffs, they've needed offense. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And so you just hope that he can be that. I say that because, again, we haven't seen him do anything in the playoffs.
Since LeBron was in Cleveland, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Damn.
But he did have some. I will say he had some big games in those
playoffs.
Years when like Kyrie was injured.
So that guy's name's Scary Terry.
Yeah. So you hope that he can reclaim some of that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you throw that with what Miami already does, it should be a win.
Should be a win. So you think they definitely got, even if it's slightly smidgen better, they got better.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can't say that this is a bad trade.
Yeah, it's too early to tell.
Yeah, well, I just don't think it'll be, in general, I don't think it'll be a bad trade because Kyle Lowry just...
Oh.
Yeah, he's old and you don't know... Like, he was... I did, like, I think I said it on our last time, I liked him as, like, a role player, but Rozier is, like, above that. It's, like, kind of like the next level above that. So I think, like, his floor still brings you what Kyle Lowry was bringing you.
Yeah. And Kyle Lowry, I mean, obviously age has a lot to do with it, but he became a little injury prone too towards the latter part of his Miami stint. So
even in his Toronto. Last parts in Toronto, yeah.
So No, I like it. I mean, we're gonna see what happens. I'd have to wait. I need a bigger sample size to kind of give my full opinion on it. But like you said, it's an upgrade. So what they lacked in the playoffs, they definitely have it figured out. But I'm a little worried about I think they need a better player in the front court, like to back up Bam. Like I don't think Kevin Love gonna cut. I know I was kind of high on him last time, but I started watching a little bit more since Terry Rozier's there. I'm just like, yo, Thomas Bryant and Kevin Love is gonna cut that shit at all, man.
Yeah, Thomas Bryant ain't it either. This was crazy.
It's crazy. Is like there's not that many like decent backup bigs like that in the league.
You know, it's weird because they're super valuable, but some teams don't put value into them, and I think that is why there's less of them in the league as well. But yeah, it's like we all want the guys, and I don't even want to say Wemby because he's something else, but like the center who can just shoot, you know. But having size in itself is still always a great thing, as long as you have size and foot speed. Yeah, it's one of the best things you can have.
Yeah. And then, last time we were here, Adrian Griffin was the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. They had a 30-13 record in the NBA, and he got fired. And who did they pick up? And we literally talked about him, Doc Rivers,
Glenn,
the GOAT himself. Your thoughts on Doc Rivers being the coach? How they handle Adrian Griffin being fired? What are your thoughts on all that, man?
It's just really crazy. It really is crazy. I think I was talking about like the only thing that I could compare it to, at least since I've been watching basketball, is when they fired David Blatt. Oh no, not the Warriors, because they didn't fire him mid-season.
Okay, they did fire David Blatt.
Yeah, they fired David Blatt mid-season. I think they had the number 2 seed, not the number 1, but still, like they had a great record, and they were just like, yeah, bro, you're not gonna cut it. The difference is Ty Lue is a much better coach than Doc Rivers. So, and I think since he's been there, again, it's only been a couple of games, but I'm pretty sure they have a losing record.
I think they won their first game against Dallas, and they were down like almost 20.
Yesterday. But I think they're like
1-2 or 1-3.
Yeah, something like that. Since he got there, so I think it's just funny that he's played a couple of games or coached a couple of games, and now he's already about to be the All-Star game coach.
So it's official. He's going to be the All-Star game coach.
Yeah, because Missoula can't do it because he did last year.
Oh yeah, you can't. So you can't do it back to back. I never knew that.
Yeah,
I would have gave it to whoever the third seed was then. Nick Nurse or some shit.
But I guess there's probably no stipulations in those rules about like the coach had to have coached X amount of games. It's just the coach of the best record team.
You're right. You're right. He is coaching. I forgot. I briefly looked at something. I think he said whatever he earns from the All-Star, he's going to give it to Adrian Griffin. He better.
Which I'm going to say, we'll see.
Well, I like my bread, so I ain't getting nigga shit. But I'll probably get like 50% of that or 60%.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I probably wouldn't. Whatever.
But what do you think it was? You think the players just lost respect for him? They weren't responding to his style of play? Like, what do you think it was? I also heard rumors about some other stuff, like with the child or something like that, but I don't know.
Oh, I haven't heard. Oh, sorry. I haven't heard any of like the other stuff, but it's weird because at first, hey, relax. Sorry. At first, I was hearing, that it was the players, and then Giannis came out and was like, "I love bro."
The PC answer.
But I was gonna say that could just be him saying what he's supposed to say. Yeah. But I think it also is a stylistic thing. I think they weren't just playing. I think them right now is similar to having like LeBron on your team. If you put the right people around him, your team is gonna prime LeBron.
Are you getting to like putting LeBron on your team, have pieces around them, regardless of coaching, you're gonna win? You're
gonna win regardless. That doesn't necessarily mean you're in the best position that you can be in, or things could be being run better. And honestly, I think that's the same thing they saw with the David Blatt year, and I think it's kind of similar now. It is just also the tough part about it is who's to say this next guy is going to be that much better, though?
Mm-hmm.
And also, y'all are the ones who decided, hey, we have a superstar who's in his late 20s, and we're adding another superstar who's 30.
Yeah, 30
Let's
now.
get a first-time head coach.
Yeah.
That's a terrible idea in the first place.
Yeah.
So he's kind of the fall man for that, I think. I don't think he's a really bad coach. I think he probably just would have been better off in a young team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we do kind of know what Doc is, which you can say he's a championship coach because he is. But since then, what he has been the guy that loses a lot of leads in the playoffs.
Last time we won a chip, it was like two different types of style of play in the NBA.
Yeah.
He hasn't really translated. I mean, he gonna win 50 games in the season. That's guaranteed.
And he had 3 to 4 Hall of Famers on that team. I think.
Oh, the Celtics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Rondo's is borderline, and the other 3 are clearly Hall of Famers.
Hell yeah.
So right now you only have 2.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, what? So they won a championship before my Spurs. So in 06. Oh, no.
7, I thought.
No, we won an odd year. So we won 03, 05, 07. So they won 08.
Okay.
07, 08
yeah,
season.
08, yeah.
So they won 07, 08 season. Then they came back, and that's when Kobe won his back-to-back 09, 10 season. But ever since then, he's got knocked out the second round almost every single year. So, like, I'm happy about it because he has nice pieces and the East is open right now. But from what I've seen with history, I think it's a second round exit. And then I don't know if it was you or I was talking to someone. I was like, maybe you said it. Maybe I'm just like taking it from you. They got some smoke with Indiana. I wouldn't be surprised if Indiana mess around and get them knocked out the first round or something crazy.
Yeah. That would be crazy. I can't take any of that in-season tournament stuff to heart when it comes to the playoffs. Because one game is, that's why March Madness is so crazy and so insane. Because anybody can win one game.
One game.
But it's different when you put us in a 7-game series.
Yeah.
So.
So you think this doesn't really change anything for them, or what, having Doc Rivers?
I really do think we just kind of got to see. I think that Adrian Griffin was an unknown in the playoffs, so you have more of a known. But what your known is not really the thing that you kind of want him to be known for. And you just gotta hope that the positive you can say is while he's blown a bunch of these leads, that also means that he built a bunch of good leads. And so you just hope that maybe Giannis is enough to be like, all right, bro, we can't do it this time.
Yeah, they were up 3-1 in the bubble, and then 3-2 against Atlanta, and then 3-2 last year against Boston, right? Yeah, they could have closed. They could have beat Boston.
Yeah.
Also, the players didn't show up too.
I will say that's the thing. I think this will be a better team
That's
than
to close
a lot of those teams that he had. Because I probably would take that level of Chris Paul, like Clippers Chris Paul, over Dame, maybe.
Hell yeah.
But I definitely would not take Giannis. I mean, I wouldn't take Blake Griffin over Giannis.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So I think he potentially has a better team than some of those other teams. I don't know. It's really a toss up. We just got to see, especially because the East right now feels like it feels wide open to me in that I don't fully trust the Celtics.
I still don't either.
Yeah, so I think that they still have a shot there.
Okay, cool. Your other boy Ben Simmons is back. No pun intended. And he's been out for, he only played 8 games this year, and he's had some back problems, but he's finally back. And it's always good when an NBA player can go out there, play, and try to win for his team as well too. Any comments you have on him returning to the Brooklyn Nets? I know he recently just got booed by the 76ers, which he's gonna get booed forever.
But
what are your thoughts on Ben Simmons, man?
I mean, I'm happy for bro.
Yeah,
that he gets to go out and play basketball. He's a pretty decent player when he does play.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like the Nets aren't going anywhere this year.
Yeah.
So I don't know for them what the needle that it kind of really moves.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm happy that he's playing again. It's really, I feel like the only thing you can be.
Yeah, because it's crazy because Philadelphia signed that 5-year, $177 million contract. And next season is going to be his last year. Then he turns into an unrestricted free agent. So he's making $37 million right now. And then next year he's going to make $40 million. I feel like that is the end of him making max dollars. Like I can see at most like 10 to 15 mil a year. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I mean, he's not gonna get no max contract again. It's never gonna happen.
He's gonna try to go
Absolutely
stupid
not.
next year too. Watch.
Absolutely not. I don't think he could have like another decent like Philly type year, and I still don't think anybody would give him a max contract again.
Because once he gets it, he's just gonna go back to the same shit.
Or that's at least what you would think. You know, like if I have a team, I can't assume that you're all of a sudden gonna be healthy again. You're all of a sudden gonna have the right mindset for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, that's the thing. I feel like it's really just, you know, I'm happy for bro that he gets to get out there and be able to play basketball again. But he's a role player now.
Yeah.
And I don't think that he's really ever gonna do a whole lot more. And to be fair, it kind of makes sense because so much of what Ben Simmons was the potential. Like, of course, yeah, he was going out there, he could give you 15, 8, and 8.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was like, okay, when he starts learning how to shoot, he'll be able to do this and he'll be able to do that. And that is just never really going to happen. Mm-hmm. So now what you have is a center or forward type build who can't shoot the ball, and his defensive capacity is kind of diminished. Mm-hmm. So, you know, you are Draymond Green.
I was about to say, if you can get him for under $15 million at that low price, I would definitely have him on a championship winning team. For that low, why not?
If I could get him for low, yeah. I would always just be averse of having an injury-prone player be a big part of my plans,
yeah.
You know, it'd be one thing if it's like, okay, we're already stacked and then we're adding him.
Yeah.
Honestly, similar to like when the Warriors added Boogie that year. Because if KD doesn't get hurt, I think we all think they win.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like, okay, well, we're already fucking stacked. We can go ahead and add Boogie because it's just whatever, you know. And also because, like, that's getting him on, like, a $5 million contract or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see, man.
Yeah, we're going to see. So we talked about, last episode, the Allstar voting coming back and our predictions on who we thought would be starters and whatnot as well, too. Clearly, we were all a little bit off. So for the starters for the Western, we're just going to focus on the West, and then eventually we're going to go to the East as another topic. But just sticking on the West, starters were Luka, KD, Shea, LeBron, and Joker. And then the reserves was Devin Booker, Steph Curry, AD, Anthony Edwards, Paul George, Kawhi, and Carl Anthony Towns. So it seems to me this year now more than ever, they kind of also took into consideration not only your play, but where you were kind of positioned as far as team success.
Did they?
I think so. Paul George, I don't like as much as of a Clippers fan that I am. I think he could have replaced Paul George as like a Sabonis.
Right. That's what. They are a good seed.
What seed are they now? Like the
fifth
seed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the West is so tight that like that's not the thing separating those seeds is not a lot.
Yeah. Or like Carl Anthony Towns, like.
No, I honestly that's my. I feel like there's some other places you can make some changes, but like when they were, I was on Twitter when they were announcing them, so like I was just refreshing my feed as they were just saying, you know, which one.
Yeah.
And my shit said Carl Anthony Towns. I was flabbergasted, in disbelief.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe Carl Anthony Towns.
1 seed.
But come on, bro. They're like. To me, they are a 1 seed that I don't think anybody believes in right now.
Kind of like Utah with Donovan Mitchell.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's what's the common denominator? Rudy Gobert. But I just think that Karl Anthony Towns, like they didn't need 2 All-Stars. He's not necessarily playing. It feels like they're like, oh, he just dropped 60. So
I was just about to say that. I was like, yo,
in.
you think that was one of the things too? It's like, this nigga dropped 60, so
I really feel like that had to have played into it because he's having an average year by his standards.
Yeah.
It's not like he's this defensive phenom. It's shown their team is a little better not a little better. It's much better when he's not the number 1 option.
Yeah.
And then you have De'Aaron Fox, who's giving you like almost 27 a game or something like that.
But don't they need a certain amount of like for the reserves? I think they need a certain amount of front and backcourt, and then you have like the 2 miscellaneous.
If you do, I would still have taken Sabonis over him.
Oh hell yeah,
easily. I just don't think that he's as important to his team as Sabonis is to his team.
Yeah. And
then you factor in their 5 games. So the Timberwolves are tied for first, actually.
Yeah.
At 34-15. The Kings are in 5th, but only at 29-19. So they're 4.5 games back, actually.
Yeah.
Which to me isn't enough to just be like, yeah, we're just gonna pick the guys from their team because they have a better record.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like those are more for when, like on the East side, the difference between the 1 and the 6 seed is 10 games. Yeah. That makes at least a little bit more
sense, yeah.
But yeah, I just really have a gripe with Karl Anthony Towns making it. I just
okay. So we said Sabonis because you're always going to get snubs every year. So Sabonis, we're just sticking on the West. Sabonis was snubbed. De'Aaron Fox was snubbed as well too. Are there any other players where you're looking at the rosters? You're like, damn, he could have or should have been an All-Star in the Western Conference.
In the West, I think the Kings really had the people.
That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. Like you said, Kyrie didn't play enough games. Zion, he hasn't really been impressing me like that as well too. So Murray, I thought about it, but I was like, nah, not really. He's like I know Tony Parker made like All-Star like twice in his career,
but it was a different league.
Yeah,
there weren't a bunch of guards averaging 30 a game when Tony Parker did it.
Yeah, so I'm not too bad, but I was also going to ask you, do you think it's something where is 12 players enough for recognition for the All-Star game, or do you think they should expand it to 15?
I think 15 is a lot.
It's too much?
I think so. Right now it's at 12.
12, yeah.
I think, and it's funny, so whenever I play 2K, I always do like the association mode, which is like, same in like Madden, like you have your own team and stuff like that.
I keep forgetting, you have a PS5, bro.
Yeah.
We need to play each other in 2K.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. But you don't play Madden, do you?
I don't play Madden as much online because that shit is just. I think we talked about it. I don't play defense. I like to just do all offense. So we.
I mean, for our league, we'll do offense. Like I'll do when I play my games, and it's like when it's a non-user game, I'll do offense only, and then just do the super sim. But my defense, all right.
Yeah,
solid. Shit, we'll see. I love Madden. And I love 2K.
But yeah, so on that,
can you text it to me? Text it to me. Okay, keep going.
On that, I just always one thing I do love about 2K and their association is at the end of the year you get to vote on rule changes.
Yeah.
So I always change mine to 13 players for the All-Star team.
Oh, wow.
And I think that is just easy for where the league is at right now. Like we just have a surplus of talent. We have a lot more talent right now.
Yeah. And even though it's just 12 players, like knock on wood, a mother always gets injured. So even though we're not having those 15 or 13 players or whatnot, there's still going to be recognitions of more than 12 players. So
yeah, like we already know there's going to be
a replacement for Joel Embiid. Exactly.
100% on the East side, which I hope would be Scotty Barnes, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And then breaking news, Terrence just texted me. 76ers star Joel Embiid, the reigning MVP, will undergo a procedure this week to repair a left meniscus injury. A team official tells ESPN a recovery timeline is expected after procedure, but expectation is that he will miss an extended period of time. I mean,
what's an extended period of time?
I feel
they keep saying that.
If it's meniscus, it's normally like 4 to 6 weeks,
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But players don't be looking great that same season when they come back from a
only one that looked great when he came back from meniscus tear was when Jimmy Butler was on Minnesota, and he actually got them to their first playoff berth since
he tore his
KG.
meniscus that year?
He tore his meniscus. Yep, and he came back. Shit was crazy. They beat the Nuggets. Remember? They beat the Nuggets. That crazy overtime game.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a playing game. They just happened to have the same record and everything. And then whoever won that game went.
got into,
They ran into Harden. But yeah, I mean, we pretty much covered everything. You know what I'm saying? Even with the breaking news coming in regards to Joel Embiid, I feel like they're going to play a little under 500. They got enough games to have cushion. And then once we kind of figure out exactly when he comes back, I guess we can figure that out. But it definitely looks like now he's going to come back. So that should be interesting. But like you said earlier, you said if they're in a playing team, fuck it.
Yeah, and also, I think there's so much pressure on him, which to me shows of like why he was playing in that game injured. That I think he's just going to do a lot, and I think that it'll be to his detriment.
Yeah.
You know, end of the day, we'll see, but he just don't be looking good come his last couple playoff games be every year.
Okay. And then going to the Eastern Conference, the starters were Giannis, Joel, Tyrese, Dame, Tatum. Now just focusing
Tyrese
on
Maxey was a starter?
Tyrese Halliburton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was about to say.
Yeah. So Giannis, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Halliburton, Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum. Focusing just on the starters, I think I was a little shocked that Dame was a starter this year. I'm not gonna lie to you. Are you shocked? We already knew it was gonna be Joel, Giannis, and Tatum, to say the least. But what were your thoughts on the backcourt with Tyrese and Dame?
I mean, I'll say I definitely was a little surprised that it was Dame, but I wasn't shocked because he still has so much popularity.
Exactly.
Like that's at the end of the day, the All-Star starter thing is just it's popularity.
Because what is it? Is it 50% for the fans and then 25 media, 25?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Okay.
So like that fan vote is just weighted super heavily.
Yeah.
And then the media also loves Dame.
Yeah.
So that's the same reason why like I think that people are talking about Steph lost his starting spot.
I was shocked about that shit.
I am, but also not really. One, Shy is just the young hot thing right now.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of just what it is.
That's what you wanted, Terrence, huh? Young players, right?
But also, I just feel like it doesn't matter. Like when 9 out of 10 people look at stats, say like 20 years from now, you're going to Steph's page.
Yeah.
You're literally just going to be, oh, he made 15 All-Stars.
Exactly.
You're not about to be like, oh, he started 8 All-Stars. And like, nobody does that.
Yeah.
Nobody does that.
Yeah.
So it really doesn't matter. Like, it's really more of a like that year type of status thing. Like, oh, I was a starter. And for young players, I think it does mean a lot more because it's like, oh, I'm that highly valued that they decided to make me a starter.
Yeah.
But like outside of that, making it to the game is making it to the game.
I guess I was also shocked with Shea. Obviously, he's the young, hot one out. But like, you got the Golden State fan base, and then you got a small market team in OKC. Granted, they're having a lot of success winning, but that's why I was thrown off too.
I think people are I think the Warriors record, I think, is playing a little bit of factor into it. But I think also sometimes there's hate in the league.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I think I was looking at it like Steph, I think, was first in the fan voting, but I think he finished like third in the other two. And then Shea was like 2-1-1 or something like that. Yeah. So it was like really, really close.
Yeah.
And again, the guard play in the West is outrageous.
OD. Okay.
So I think there was a couple times in the past couple years Steph didn't start. Maybe not a couple.
No,
but
he was
like
injured.
one.
That's why. But since he been Steph, he always been starter, dog. It's always been him. While you find that, the reserves for the Eastern Conference, Bam Adebayo, Julius Randle, Donovan Mitchell, Tyrese Maxey, Jalen Brunson, Jaylen Brown, and Paolo Banchero. Another young player, Terrence. Another young player. At first I was a little shocked by Apollo, but when I actually like took a step back and looked at his stats and everything, I was like, yeah, you definitely deserve this shit this year as well too. Were there any shocking reserves that were named that you're like, yo, what the hell?
On the East side, not really.
I think mine was just Julius Randle's going to get replaced. Obviously, I think he's hurt, right?
Yeah, so he's another one that's going to get replaced.
Another one get replaced. Who do you think should replace Julius Randle? I was saying Porzingis, but who would you rock with?
I don't think Porzingis needs to make it. Man.
You don't think so?
No,
he had a pretty good year, man.
He's playing cool.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing cool, but I really think I would do like, although the record isn't there, we've definitely seen players, especially young players who are playing like really, really well, still make an All-Star team when their team isn't like rock bottom. Like he's just kind of like on a bad team, not a. But Scotty Barnes, I think Scotty Barnes should have consideration, and especially if we're not also doing positioning, I think Trae Young should.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say if we're not doing, because I was just thinking of the front court. If we're not doing positioning, clearly Trae Young.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Scotty Barnes.
Yeah, Scotty Barnes going crazy this year.
Yeah, I guess because they're not winning. I'm not paying too much attention to him. But Terrence is also talking about Scotty Barnes too. And then I'm trying to think of any other front court players that you would even consider replacing like that. No one really comes to mind.
This year, Scotty's giving you 20 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, a steal, 1.5 blocks.
What's his
48% from the field, 36% from 3.
That's a damn good season for him.
When his other 2 years from 3, he was 30 and 28%.
Okay, we still got almost half a season like that shit gonna go down. Okay,
we'll see, but not that much. It's not gonna go down that much.
Yeah. All right, so yeah, props to Paulo for making that. You know, my young Mello over there. And like I said, Julius Randle's been actually having a good season.
He's having a great season.
I'm just a hater.
But they're too good. They're too good. Like they've been playing really well. He's putting up all-star type numbers, and the front court in the East isn't super deep.
Exactly.
In terms of like who would be replacing him, you know.
Exactly.
Like I think he plays a bigger role. Like he's a number 2 or 1. I honestly think him and Brunson are kind of 1A and B. I think in the playoffs it'll be different, but like in the regular season, I think they're kind of 1A and B. Yeah. Versus Porzingis is the third option on this team, so you can't put him over him.
Yeah.
So
I guess I was a little shocked. I know I said D Mitch at first last episode, but looking into like productivity, where they rank, and popularity with New York being a fan base, I thought he was gonna be a starter for a second.
Mitchell?
Nah, Jalen Brunson.
Oh,
but like I said, it really don't matter. He's an all-star regardless. So
yeah, and
he was an all-star last year, right? Or no?
No. He was the snub last year. He was the one everybody was mad about last year. Okay. But Halliburton was gonna be an all-star starter. Yeah. That's just.
He been going stupid.
He's
I ain't mad at it. I ain't mad at it.
12 assists, which niggas haven't done.
Barely turns the ball over.
Yeah, Chris Paul when he was in his prime type.
Yeah.
And he's also giving you 20-something points a game.
Yeah.
The reason that team is decent. So.
Okay. Your boy.
How many boys I got?
I'm also taking shots at Terrence too, even though he's not here. I'm also taking shots at him. So LeBron James,
that's definitely his man.
Yeah, LeBron James. Basically, after they beat the New York Knicks, I think the score was 113 to 105. He got asked about like these young players nowadays, and he said, "I see a lot of young kids. They get so unfocused about stuff that is so material that they could lose their focus. Just worry about the game. If you worry about the game, everything will take care of it itself." Do you think there is a huge...
Sorry, James Harden just...
He went stupid?
Crossed up Jimmy Butler.
And you don't have faith in the Clippers, man? Come on, son.
3.
Sheesh. Anyways, with LeBron James' comments about these young players, do you feel like a lot of young players don't value basketball as much as they should and care more about what basketball comes with?
Yeah. I think that's part of the culture, but I think also part of that culture goes beyond just them. I think it's kind of a lot of the pipeline now. Because it even goes as far as like not teaching kids all the fundamentals of the sport and other things like that. Like, just do this one thing, it'll make you money, and I think that it parlays into a lot of other things, and then you also add in social media and everything else. So I saw this video. It's funny. So they had LeBron saying that, and then a quote tweet was like, "Yeah, LaMelo and Brandon Miller and the Hornets and Terry Rozier getting iced out and stuff like that."
Hey yo,
and we're in this like flexing culture right now, where it's just easy for younger people to get caught up in having money and showing it off, and I mean it makes you wonder, like, why is your team always so bad, LaMelo, when you're supposed to be, you made an all-star team, you're supposed to be that level of player. Are you not doing some of the extra things that you could be doing to get better at the game? And I think, there's always been players like that. Like, you can even look at Shaq, like, in which he admits himself, like, I was just dominant on nature, so I didn't really put anything extra into the game.
Did, bro.
Exactly.
The narrative changes on who to go to.
Yeah.
It changes on who to go to.
So I think there's just a lot of that right now, and a lot of these players kind of being 20 or 19 and kind of being handed
a franchise opportunity and money
with no expectations of, like, you really supposed to be trying to win or anything like that. Just go out there and play.
Nah, I agree with you. There's no other real comment. I was just gonna make a joke about the video, but you brought that up as well too. And then staying on LeBron James, next year he's gonna have a player option, and he's gonna be making $51.4 million. You think this is his last year in a Laker uniform, or he got the base camp set up everywhere? It's no point. Because he doesn't have to prove anything anymore. I mean, I know for himself he wants to get another championship and probably get that. Hey, Terrence, has he has 40,000 points already?
He's 250 points away.
Oh, that is hilarious. He gave the exact.
So right now he just about his stats, but like, you think this is last year with the Los Angeles Lakers?
I think he is
40,000 is crazy.
Yeah,
that's actually OD.
I think he's kind of maybe in a similar to Giannis situation. I think that the team could do something to kind of curb a lot of this, but if they potentially don't make any type of moves and just stand pat, then he'll probably, I don't know, but I don't know where he's going to go. I really don't know where else I see him. And not to say, like, I know LeBron could pretty much go on any team, but I just don't know where I see him at.
I wanted him, before he got injured, play with Joel Embiid and Maxey. That would be kind of lit. But and then some people were saying, oh, he should go back to Cleveland, but I think he's too old for that now.
Yeah, that's something I wouldn't want to do, is have him kind of take over a young team. Because I think that, like, I think it's different. Like, Embiid would be okay ceding stuff to LeBron. And also, I think it just, for some reason, like, Maxey's style doesn't, he can play a little bit less with the ball.
Yeah.
Versus, like, taking away from Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley. Like, I feel like young guys who it's important for them to feel like we are the franchise. And I just think it could be a hit to certain guys' morale. And as we know, certain young guys just don't flourish when they play next to the pressure of LeBron. So.
Yeah, I think he's just going to stay with the Lakers. And like I said, he already got everything he proved. No one was really saying shit when Jordan was on the Wizards. So
I was about to say, like, and we all, like, it's crazy because LeBron has certain expectations, and I think also because he's still playing at a certain level.
Which is crazy.
But most greats go out on bad teams.
Going on bad teams and go out at like years. 33, 34 years old.
Yeah, like, or even, I mean, like, the ones who are like him, like a Dirk, and who played, a long-ass time. Those teams, his last 3 years or so weren't good. Kobe, his last 4 or 5 years, the team wasn't good. As we know, like, Jordan on the Wizards was not good. KG wasn't really on good team. Like, when these guys are that old, and again, I think it's different because Bron's playing at a higher level than them, but overall, that's just kind of how it happens. A lot of the time, unless you're like Kareem and they draft a generational prospect number 1 near the tail end of your career, it just doesn't really happen.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Or like Tim Duncan got lucky because they had Kawhi.
Yeah, no, that's facts.
But the Lakers don't really they honestly, they gave up so much of their draft capital to get Anthony Davis, so it's like the probability of that happening is just so low.
Now they're fucked. But we're gonna see what happens with them as well. I know it's still early. You know, we're almost there at the All-Star break. Who obviously we're taking Joel Embiid out right now, but gun pointed to your head. Who's your MVP right now?
Jokic.
Jokic.
Mm-hmm.
Why Jokic?
I think one, he could have and should have won it last year, but there's of course always the voter fatigue, and then Embiid was heavily campaigning, and I think there was a pity party for him. But yeah, I think Jokic is like I was just watching their game last night. He put up like 20, 20, and 10 or something like
Who
that.
they play?
I don't know who they played, but it wasn't
They played
a bad
y'all
team.
recently though, right? Detroit.
Probably.
Okay.
But it was not a bad team that they were playing. Hold on. I'm about to look
Well,
at
while you
this.
look that up, I think I was going back and forth. You already know I'm biased, so like I'm not gonna say my MVP. I'm gonna give you another MVP answer like an episode or two from now. But right now, I think Terrence would agree with me. I'll probably go with Shea right now, man. I knew they were going to take a leap. I didn't think they were going to be borderline number 1, number 2 seed, and they're such a very young team with really no veteran presence. To see them play this well, and like we already saw him be an all-star starter now. So I think the media definitely with Joel Embiid's dominance going and being taken away, and you got these other guys who are having career numbers, but like it's always about your team success and also the narrative. I think they're probably gonna give it to Shea. So right now I'll go with Shea.
You really think he's gonna win?
If they're number 1 seed, I think so. I think they're gonna be bored of your boy Joker. Joel Embiid's already not gonna be considered anymore. Anthony Edwards sounds good, but I feel like they're not going to vote for him.
Anthony Edwards is not consistent.
I think the league. I feel like Jason Tatum. Obviously, he's on a stacked team, but like that individually though, he be playing great. But I feel like they just are not too much in love with him like that. So I think by process of elimination, I think it's going to be Shea.
Okay.
Now my other thing I was going to say is if Kawhi can play 65 plus games and they have the number 1 seed, I wouldn't be surprised if the narrative changes. But right now, I'm going with Shea.
Yeah, Kawhi not winning MVP.
I know he's not winning MVP. I want him to win that 1 year, but James Harden
has too much ground to make up.
Too much ground? You think so?
Yeah, he's just not on. I guess I mean also in terms of like just being on the rate. Like in the end of the day, the MVP is a media award,
thing.
And he's.
But
not
you don't
any...
think with them even being in the LA market, if they get the number 1 seed, especially like you still got a month to play.
The number 1 seed is not all like were the 76ers the number 1 seed last year?
Terrence, were the 76ers number 1 seed last year?
No.
Yeah.
Were they like top 2, top 3? But Joel Embiid led the league in points, right?
Right, but I'm just saying like that number 1 seed thing is not all it's wrapped up to be. Like that doesn't, I mean, although this was different, the context, but Westbrook just won. MVP,
I was about to say Westbrook
6th seed or whatever.
Yeah. That was like here you go.
Yeah, exactly. I know it was different because he averaged first person average a triple double and stuff like that.
Yeah, the triple double was crazy.
But that just being said, like I just don't think that you being on the number 1 seed is the biggest factor. I think they count more into like, are you on a really good team? Mm-hmm. And then we kind of just throw you in a pool.
Yeah.
Because honestly, if we're like Tatum would be way higher on everybody's.
I say he should be.
They're technically the best team in the league, and he's not. No one's considering him for MVP right now, to be real.
Mm-hmm.
So
what about Derek White?
No. I think it's gonna be, if things stay as they are right now, it'll probably be between Shea and Jokic.
Joker, yeah.
But I really think that Jokic just does more, and not in a way of in more of a way of like someone giving you 100% and someone giving you 101%. Like I don't want to put down Shea and what he's doing at all. Like he does everything for his team, but I think Jokic just does more.
Yeah.
And again, we will see, but I know in the playoffs he is a hooper.
Regular season award, but yes, you're right.
It is, but I think you can't factor the upcoming playoffs, but you can factor your. Because I think for me at least, the MVP really factors in who you are as a player. Of course, it's about this one season, but all that narrative comes into it. So
okay, all right.
Because I think that's the reason, real quick, that if Embiid wasn't averaging 35, I don't think he was gonna win MVP again because so much of his narrative was we gave it to you last year, and then in the playoffs you didn't do nothing.
You do shit. Yeah. No, that's facts. Okay. Last time we were talking, we were like. Because it's always weird with Rookie of the Year, right? You had motherfuckers like Ben Simmons and Blake Griffin who missed a whole season, but yet they're still trialing with the team. They get extra time to see what it takes to be a professional and just more time to work on their game. And they're eligible to be rookies. So with that being said, a few episodes ago we were talking about Chet Holmgren and how it seemed like because of the team's success, it was a foregone conclusion he may be Rookie of the Year. But lately, the last like 12 games, Wemby's been going kind of crazy.
And Chet hasn't been doing as much either.
And he's been going down a little bit. So last 11 games, Wemby's averaging 24, 11 with 3 blocks and 4 assists as well, too. You think if this trend continued, the league's going to give him Rookie of the Year?
I don't even think it's to be honest, I know we had a lot of conversations before the season started, but as long as Wemby came in and did what he was expected to do, he was going to win Rookie of the Year. Yeah. More, I feel like what we were talking about is like, okay, if he comes in and averages like 10 or something like that, or, you know, maybe even like 14, 15, but he's coming in, looking dominant, giving you X amount of blocks a game, and he's doing it all in like 25 minutes a game.
I was just about to say, I was like, yo, he's only doing this in like 26, 27 minutes. So imagine when he played 35, 36.
Yeah, I just think it don't matter how bad the team is, and it shouldn't, because that is literally, if you're the number one overall, you're supposed to technically be going to the worst team or one of the 5 worst teams in the league. So, I'm not going to put the team success thing in there at all. And to me, he's just outperforming everybody to such a capacity. Like, if Wemby was on the Thunder, could you imagine? Like,
I was saying that too, bro.
So
I mean, obviously number one or bound for number one, but I think they'd be number one by a couple games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like that's that's really my thing. Like Chet got drafted to a good team because the team has really good management, and they got a bunch of draft picks to add. You know, like this wasn't our pick. Our pick, if it was our pick, it would have been the 15th or 16th. But we were smart and we were able to draft number 2, I think, or number 2 or 3, wherever he was picked at.
Yeah.
And again, he's a year removed, so that's another year that they had to get better because they weren't this good last year either.
You think Ben Simmons deserved that Rookie of the Year over Donovan Mitchell that 1 year?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really care about you missed a year. Like that's
you
just.
Don't care?
It is what it is. Like you can't
control.
If I got injured and
but I feel like some of
them,
them, like for example, like Chet could have came back from that injury and played, but like you want to get the best pick that you can, and
I don't think it was about getting the best pick because they weren't a bad team. I think it's more so, again, we are a young team, so we can be future oriented.
Yeah.
And spend this year giving all our rookies, the Jalen Williamses and all these other people, some minutes, and build him up, and know that when he comes back next year, he's gonna be better.
Okay. All right.
Same. I think there's probably some times in there where Embiid probably could have played or whatever those first 2 years, but it's just you gotta have the smart approach. And
did he win Rookie of the Year?
No, because he barely played. But nobody was.
I thought
complaining.
he shared it with someone.
No, he didn't share it.
Okay.
But nobody was complaining when he was considered a rookie, and he missed 2 years. He had 2 years of,
Yeah.
So I think that type of stuff is picky and choosy.
Serum.
Yeah.
Shout out to Westbrook becoming the 25th player to get 25,000 points. Just wanted to point that out there as well too. And it is Black History Month. Anything you want to say to all the black queens and kings out here?
shout out to us.
Shout out to us.
Yeah, keep being great. Don't feel like you have to be the best thing ever. I think sometimes we can get caught up in black excellence and just not allow us to be regular normal people, you know, because that's okay too. And yeah, just continue to do whatever has helped you to survive in this very Caucasian country.
Hey, no need to add to that. Ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 138 of The Seezus Show. Make sure to subscribe on all forms of social media at Sir Seezus, at Carl Conyers, at Terrence Willie _, and at The Seezus Show. We are